Hello and welcome to the first Destiny Council gameplay video. We're going to start producing these for you guys, looking to highlight some of the decks in the meta that we think are worth either playing as or playtesting against. Today it will be myself on the left playing as Qui Gon Kanaan versus Andrew on the right playing with MazHerati or Hera Maz and Ezra Bridger. So basically, a bunch of erratas just dropped, and these decks are almost entirely untouched by it. The only affected thing, I believe, is basically Fiber Knife for Qui Gon Kanaan. However, the deck deals a lot of damage through pinging shields, so it already had to deal with an opponent's shields. Fiber Knives didn't really let it get through everything. So the Fiber Knife nerf doesn't affect it too much. Speaking with the rest of the council, I mean, we basically agree that these are two of the stronger decks. I think that Qui Gon Kanaan personally is the deck to beat. In a vacuum of damage decks, I don't think that's the case, but once you add in mill decks, I think it really does become the top deck because of how consistent its dice are and how easily it wrecks mill decks, because it never needs to reroll if it doesn't want to, and Ancient Sabers allow it to really survive the last couple of turns if they can't hit your deck. MazHerati, really strong hero vehicle deck. I don't know how I feel about it yet, whether it's tier 1. I've never played it, so that kind of hurts my ability to analyze it. But from having played against it, it basically can do some ridiculous things, but it has some early bad draws, doesn't get the vehicles it needs. It can have a rough time. So we're going to see, I'd start by rolling out Kanaan. It just gives a lot of flexibility, his dice, having them there. I then proceed to play the Jedi Robes on Qui-Gon. I don't know how I feel about Jedi Robes in Qui-Gon Kanaan. I think that it's worth it just for the potential to draw it turn 1. The 2 shields is insane. And then you can override it immediately or override it the next turn. Andrew's going to go ahead and roll out Hera there. So MazHerati wants to do a couple things. The first thing is it really does want to actually buy vehicles. You can't rely on just Hera. We're going to see that he's going to use that special there. It can't rely on Hera all game because you'll only ever have one vehicle at that point. So you really do need to find a way to get resources such that you can have vehicles permanently down. One of the best ways for the deck to do that is through 2 things. Chance Cube, because Maz can just activate and immediately resolve the 3 with a focus. Or through salvage, or whatever the one is where you basically, or recycle, where you discard the support from play, gaining resources equal to its cost. I go ahead and decide to caution there. So lots of shields, obviously. So I'm pretty happy about that start. Caution is one of the best starts for Qui-Gon Kanaan. Ridiculous value for 0 cost to be able to get the 3 shields. Jedi Rope, obviously insane. So being able to get 5 shields out of that is pretty strong. Andrew's thinking here. He has to be concerned about the focus here to the Falcon because I have a resource showing. Kanaan can take his pseudo cheat to take the resource and then immediately play a removal. So if I have something, I'll be able to play it like a deflect. A deflect would be the worst case scenario here. So he decides to go ahead and focus to that 4. And I do go ahead and take the resource and immediately deflect the 4. His other option he could have taken there, we know that he has a U-Wing in his hand. He could have focused to the 2 resource side on the Falcon. But having recycle there means that it's unnecessary ultimately. So as I said, recycle being one of the best ways for it to get a permanent vehicle down on the board. I went ahead and claimed the battlefield to ping 1 more to Maz. I'm focusing Maz because Maz is what allows the deck to guarantee Hera specials and also to ramp really hard off of the Chance Cube. So typically, she's only 8 health. It's slightly faster than Hera, and she offers the most consistency to the deck. So I go for Maz first. He goes ahead and rolls out the 3 and deals 3 to Qui-Gon, as well as the 1 from Hera. So going into this next round, I really need to start getting some weapons on my characters. The character dice are pretty strong. They're just not high damage. So I really do need some support from things like Ancients or Shotos. I'm going to go ahead and decide to drop the Force Speed on Kanaan. Very strong card, obviously. Who rolls out Ezra. Another thing about... So one question about one option you have in the MazHerati deck is whether or not to run Ezra or a Rookie Pilot. Ezra offers a little bit more control if you want to run cards like Double Cross or Electroshock. If they go for Maz first and you're not running Ezra, then as soon as Maz dies, Electroshock is turned off. And then Ezra also offers more Disrupt options for limiting your opponent's resources. So Andrew's currently running with that. Feels that the value of the Electroshock being on for longer and even Double Cross makes Ezra worth running. Rookie Pilot, on the other hand, does offer a lot more damage, typically, than Ezra would. So it's just a design philosophy. Do you want more damage or more control? I roll out Kanaan here. I do get that 4-speed special, which is obviously pretty powerful. He activates Maz and misses. So if he had rolled a focus there, he likely would have either Ewing specialed for likely 6 shields or stolen a resource with Ezra. I think it most likely would have been the shield play. I go ahead and overwrite with that raised lightsaber, giving Qui Gon a shield. Rolls out Hera and hits that special naturally, which is kind of annoying, but what can you do? I roll out Qui Gon here. Hit multiple 2 shield sides, so that is really strong for me. However, I'm a little bit concerned at this point with how slowly I'm killing Maz. Vehicles, if you don't kill them fast enough, they're really deadly because they don't lose any of their damage when their characters dies typically. So if you leave them alive for even one more turn, that's one more turn of all of their support activations. It can be really rough. So you really do need to make sure that you are ending the game and not just sitting around, especially when they have cards like Reckless Reentry and strategic planning that allow them to roll dice that are as powerful as a Ewing multiple times in a single turn. He's going to go ahead and Electroshock the 2 after my reroll. Thinking here about whether or not to guard. I could have dealt 3, but the Ewing die was threatening enough and the Hera special that I felt like trading the 3 damage of my own and a resource that I would have had to spend for removing the dice was definitely the right play. Andrew's thinking about what he wants to do here. So I make the decision to go ahead and take the shields pinging twice and go ahead and getting myself up to 3 shields. I had the option to use the Kanaan die before that, but I figured that 1 disrupt wasn't going to be as big of a deal. So I kept it out there just in case I wanted to reroll. Reroll into the disrupt anyways. So we're going to the next round. At this point, the match can go either way. I've only dealt 3 damage, he's only dealt 2, but I have fully shielded up characters. He has a decent amount of resources, and as I said, support decks can really ramp up the damage if you just let them sit there. One problem for the vehicle deck, especially in this matchup, is that firstly, Qui-Gon and Kanaan are only 2 characters, and Ewing is one of their best damage vehicles. If they can't Ewing special for 6, it's kind of rough for them. And they also have a ton of shields, and they really have no shield hate in that deck. So the matchup can be really tough. Qui-Gon Kanaan can also tend to burst down really fast, and if they lose Maz on turn 2, they can struggle with consistency and being able to ramp. Obviously, that didn't happen this game. But I do have a decent board state, so I'm not too concerned. He's going to go ahead and use that Hera special off of the Maz activation to play down that Falcon. So here, most of the time you are going to be rolling out Kanaan first, mainly because with cards like Bard and Force Misdirect and even Caution, Kanaan is the one who's dicey one in the pool. Obviously, if you roll the focus, you can focus into any of your other sides and then play Force Misdirect immediately. There you see he goes ahead and rolls out the Ewing into the 3 damage. One of the weaknesses of Qui-Gon Kanaan is that it really doesn't have many removal unless you have dice in the pool. So that 3 was the only thing I really could have used against it was something like a overconfidence, or deflect. So I'm going to go ahead. I rolled the double 4-speed special, so I'm going to take 4 actions. Really no reason not to. I'm going to be looking to kill Maz with this action, basically. So first activation, I roll him in. Second action, I'm going to re-roll. Got some more damage showing here. Believe it's already enough to kill the Maz, because I can resolve melee and then resolve shields. I am, however, considering whether I want to re-roll one more time with these actions. I have 2 more actions left. Probably is just smart to go ahead and just kill the Maz. I got enough out of this. I don't need to keep on chucking cards from my hand and wasting them. Still thinking about it? And there I go. So I deal the 4 melee. Just kidding. So one of the reasons why Qui Gon Kanaan is so strong is just the efficiency of all of its cards. So Hero Blue has a ton of 0 cost cards that are really powerful. Guard is like a way better he doesn't like you in a sense in this deck. A card like Caution, giving 3 shields for 0 resources is insane. Cards like 4 speed, Synchronicity is another huge one. 2 unblockable for 0 is way above the curve. I go ahead and kill Maz here, dealing 6 damage with my, dealing 5 damage. 4 damage from melee, and then 1 damage from a ping. I leave the Raised Lightsaber out there because I believe I'm anticipating to reroll. And the 1 shield is pretty rough. Andrew is thinking right now. Goes ahead and decides to resolve that 3 into Qui Gon. I'm going to go ahead and discard to reroll. I have a concentrate and a guard. One interesting play I could make here is I actually could just concentrate into a melee side to guarantee that I'll be able to use the guard. But obviously, if I just by just risking the reroll and hoping I roll melee, I could save the resource. So that's the decision I have to make now. But yeah, as I was saying, Hero Blue just has a lot of efficiency in their events, and because of that, they are able to do a lot of early damage just from hand. If they can Synchronicity once, even like Synchronicity, Return of the Jedi, Synchronicity, if they can play a card like Caution into Repost, their ability to burst down a character is significant. It's not the fastest, but on top of being able to burst down a character, they can also shield really effectively. So typically, Qui Gon Kanaan almost always gets the first kill because their removal is so efficient. Because they're naturally shielding up Qui Gon, it can be really hard for an opponent to beat you in the first race. And when you get the first kill every game, the deck can be really strong. I do end up, instead of deciding to reroll, I end up deciding to just take the shield off of Raised Lightsaber. The reason for this is that I'm thinking I have 2 4-speed specials, or 2 4-speeds on the board, and Concentrate could be really powerful next turn if I roll a 4-speed special again and can immediately turn 2 dice to sides of my choice and then deal that damage. However, Andrew rolled out the 3 discard and decides to just discard my hand, so it ends up not mattering whatsoever. I claim and take the shield. And then Andrew immediately deals the 3 damage from his dice. Moving into the next turn, I still have 17 health to go through, but my board state is really strong. Andrew's board state is not where he wants it to be. He didn't get that early chance keep this game. He did get 1 recycle off, but only having a U-Wing and an airspeeder is just not enough to get through the amount of shields that I'm outputting. So he's going to have some strong turns here if he wants to win the game. Looking at my hand, the one thing that I should really have hopefully gotten going earlier this game was the Shoto lightsabers on Qui-Gon. Just the instant shields. I do draw into one this turn, so I play it down. Are really devastating, and that's another thing that allows Qui-Gon Kanaan to just wreck mill decks. Shoto's offering consistent instant 2 damage every single turn is really powerful. Roll out, hit that 4-speed special, and a lot of nothingness, resources, and the 1 shield on the other 4-speed. Rolling Qui-Gon, I have a little bit better here. It's in fact not half bad roll. I just lack a lot of melee. I have no melee sides showing except for that one there. Andrew does decide to play that on a chance cube here. That makes sense in that he knows that he needs resources if he's going to come back into this game. His current board state is just not enough. You can see that he also has an Electroshock and a Lothcat, so he was thinking whether or not he wanted to remove. That he's doing something smart. Both times he played the Lothcat, or he drew Lothcats, he rolled out Ezra first. I rolled in dice, and then he would Lothcat, forcing me to remove his least valuable die in Ezra's. So yeah, if you can do that, if you have Lothcat in your hand, keep in mind that you don't want to roll out other dice, if at all possible. Roll out your weakest character and then play Lothcat as early as possible to make sure that you get as much value out of it as you can. I go ahead and Synchronicity here. You can also see in my hand that I have Return of the Jedi, so I'm going to be able to Return of the Jedi and Synchronicity again. Return of the Jedi is a rather inefficient card. However, if you look at Synchronicity, Return of the Jedi just becomes 1 for 2 unblockable. So Return of the Jedi really is only good, I believe, with the combination of Synchronicity or sometimes to pull back the better removal spells. Otherwise, I just wouldn't run it. It's so inefficient to pay 1 card for no effect, essentially, or pay 1 resource for no effect. I go ahead and reroll again here. Get a much better roll here. Still not perfect, but the 2 on the raised saber is pretty strong. And I am showing a focus on Kanaan so that 1 on the ancient lightsaber could well turn into the +3. I'm just going to go ahead and shock the 2. I am thinking here about whether reroll or Return of the Jedi is better. I also have the option here of Return of the Jedi in a removal card. I could pull back something like a Force Misdirection or Deflect. And with the resource showing there on Kanaan, I would have enough resources to pay for it. But I do go ahead and just go for the Synchronicity play. He goes ahead and deals the 4 damage to Qui Gon. Here, I'm going to go ahead and use the pseudo cheat, I believe. You can see that I'm thinking about it. It is slightly concerning how much damage is on Qui-Gon, so if Andrew has a card that can ready his U-Wing, I am thinking that he could potentially end up killing my Qui-Gon, so I'm really thinking about whether I want to deal this +3 or whether I want to take the 2 shields. I end up going ahead and going with the +3 because it is the biggest swing. I then take the shield immediately on Qui-Gon, figuring that the shield from the Force Speed and the claim of the battlefield are going to be enough to keep Qui-Gon alive this turn, hopefully. You do see there that he played strategic planning to ready the U-Wing. Rerolls. It's some decent damage, and he does get the higher resource side on the chance cube. So that is pretty solid for him. Just 2 resources, but still not bad at all. We go into the next turn. Qui-Gon is really low here, but this is one of the biggest weaknesses of vehicle decks, is that even when characters on your opponent's team start low, it can be really hard for you to kill them quickly because of how long it takes for you to get support dice into your pool. So while Qui-Gon starts out with just 2 health left here, I do have a significant advantage in the damage curve here, or just how quickly I will deal it this turn. You can see there that Andrew does have the option of flank. So he's going to go ahead and use it there. I go ahead and just immediately deal the 3 and kill the Hera. So as you can see there, just getting character dice are just, with their upgrades, are just so much faster at dealing the damage in the rounds. I'm just going to go ahead and roll the Ezra. It's the 1 damage. He hasn't rolled like any natural Ezra specials here this game, which is kind of frustrating for him because those are probably his best, I mean, by far his best side. Just the 2 resource swing is pretty strong. Although against Qui-Gon Kanaan, they don't need resources as desperately as some other decks, so it's not the worst. I go ahead and decide to play an ancient lightsaber over one of the Force Speeds. Andrew rolls out his U-Wing, hits that double focus again. He's rolled that multiple times this game. Not really what you want to roll on your only strong dice. Activating the Kanaan here. Hoping for some good stuff. And I roll rather terribly, but I at least get the 4-speed special. Kanaan is really devastating with 4-speed special because after the reroll, you can, once again, just use the Kanaan pseudo cheat. This offers a really good chance at being able to hit killing damage. Reroll and whiff again. So I have to think here about what I want to do. And go ahead and discard to reroll here. Still a whole lot of nothing. Just 3 melee damage. Not going to be enough here. So at this point, it really is going to take a miracle for Andrew to win. With just 7 health on Ezra, it's going to be really hard for him to finish me off before I can kill him. But you never know. And especially with some of the power cards, he can end up dealing just a ridiculous amount of damage if he can ready U-Wing and hit the special multiple times, hit the 3 multiple times. I go ahead and decide to use the pseudo cheat, disrupting 1, and then dealing 3 melee damage. Andrew's thinking here. Does go ahead and use that 3 on the U-Wing to kill my Qui Gon. I redeploy the Rey's lightsaber over there onto Kanaan. And I decide to just take that resource. Don't really have. I could have left the die in the pool for the potential of a force misdirect after the U-Wing rolling in. That might have been the correct choice. U-Wing rolls in and hits the special. He's going to decide to reroll on the airspeeder. Deals 3 damage overall, and takes a shield on his Ezra. So yeah, not looking great for Andrew. However, if I don't kill him this turn and he draws some, like, maybe 2 reckless reentries, I mean, his U-Wing can still deal 9 damage if it just rolls hot. So that's like the one thing that I really think vehicles decks have going for them, is their ability to resolve strong dice multiple times in the same round off of their 4 cards that can roll back in. We even toyed around for a while with throwing in endurance. So when the U-Wing or the Falcon die gets removed by your opponent, you just immediately endurance it back in. It can be incredibly strong. I'm just going to go ahead and pin down here. I'm going to discard 2 reroll. Reroll a pretty strong roll here. And Andrew does not have any removal except for cards that rely on his character dice being in the pool. So I'm able to just resolve and finish the game. So yeah, decent match. What we're looking at here is basically the main issue with this matchup for MazHerati is that, as I said earlier, vehicle decks without the hero vehicle decks really do rely on the U-Wing. It's like their best option right now for a character, or I mean for a vehicle die. He also never drew into the Y-Wings, which are the most cost-efficient vehicle there, which is really rough for him in that game. And not getting the turn 1 chance cube really did hurt and slow down his resource gen. He did get the recycle off, but recycle is just one-time use, whereas chance cube can often hit once, twice, or even 3 times. Yeah, but overall, a solid game there. Just came down to Qui Gon Kanaan having too many shields for them. Yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this. Let us know what else you'd like to see, what other decks you think are worth recording. And yeah, thank you for watching.